this game. So the game started with Scotch game, and white played d4. So the one of the book move from black is taking the pawn. Otherwise, white will have a very strong center pawn. So in this case, in this game, black played queen e7, supporting e5. But this move, as I said, has one problem. That is, white is going to control the center, and also the queen is also blocking the dark square bishop. I think that's another problem. So play d5. I think that's good, and we kick the knight away from the center. Knight to b4, and we play a3. And if I compare a3 and c3, I would prefer move the pawn to c3 because we can also open up this diagonal for us to develop the queen, and later maybe play b4. So the a6 knight is really trapped, or at least stuck at the a6 square. The knight cannot really go to any good square, and we also expand our pawns, expand our space at the queen side. And a3, it's not big problem pushing the a3 pawn. I'm just comparing the difference between the two pawns. Okay, we take the knight, and there are bad pawns at the queen side, so we should think about how can we attack these two pawns as the game develops. For example, if I would play as white, I will move the bishop to e3 to aim at the e7 pawn, and potentially I can also move the queen to attack a6. So we should think about that. And c4, support d5, and also have like expand of space. That's good. And queen f6. So as I said, I think black realized the problem with queen e7 because it's blocking the dark square bishop. Black really want to develop the bishop, otherwise it cannot castle. Maybe g6, bishop g7, but it takes like 2 moves to move the bishop. So the queen goes to f6, and we play bishop g5. So I think bishop g5 is a little unnecessary, and also it's a premature because we develop bishop, but the bishop only control this like diagonal, and there is no black pieces. Of course, once black move the queen, there's no black pieces on this diagonal, so which means we don't have any target, and also we are not really controlling any meaningful square. Black can develop bishop, offering a trade, move the knight, and castle. So as I said, I think the bishop is better to be placed at ae3. It can aim at the pawn. Even though we cannot do anything at a7 right now, but at least it make black to like force the rook stay at a8 if black doesn't want to lose the pawn. And another problem is bishop g5, move the queen or give black the chance to place the queen to a better position. So for example, queen to b6, black can target at the b2. This is the only semi-open file black can utilize. And also in this game, black played queen g6. I think this even more serious because black is targeted at e4, and also after h6, when we move the bishop to somewhere else, the queen can take g2. So we have 2 pawns being targeted at. So yeah, so I think bishop g5 is helpful to our opponent, but not to ourselves. Okay, queen d2. Yeah, so we didn't notice the hanging e4 pawn. So we will lose a center pawn. That's really big loss in the opening. Queen 2, we offer exchange, and also we want to protect c4. I think that's the only move. Take the queen. If I play as black, I'm not sure if I will take the queen. Probably I will. Okay, yeah, because there is no any other square obviously better than e4. So okay, trade the queen. Bishop e7. Well, I will play f6 for sure, or d6 to protect e5 as well. That's yeah. I mean, this is endgame. Pawns are really important, and we white won a pawn back. That's good for us, good for black, for white. And I think white is still slightly better than black because of the pawn structure. These two pawns are really bad. We trade the knight, develop knight, bishop b7. Well, I will move bishop to this diagonal because it's more open. Bishop to b7, it blocked the semi-open file, and also the block. I mean, this space is quite limited by these two pawns. So bishop b7, I don't think that's a good square for the bishop. And h3, we make the h pawn safe, so we can move the rook. That's good. And c6, we take the pawn. So every time when we see like exchanges like this case, we need to ask ourselves, do we really have to accept the exchange? And you know, often the time when your opponent offer an exchange, so most likely, I'm not saying 100%, but most likely your opponent want this happen, because that's the reason they are exchanging pieces, right? So we need to think about, do we really want to, or any good or bad we will see on the position when we accept the exchange. So first of all, so for example, if I don't take the pawn, I think I can see some like opportunity. For example, I can move the rook out, and if black take, I can take. So I still have a center pawn. It's blocking the b7 bishop, and the pawn is quite strong. We have two pieces, even though it's isolated. I have two pieces to protect that. And I can also take that with the knight. The knight at center, threatening a fork. If black take that, if black doesn't take my knight, I still think the knight is really better than the bishop, because it's at the center. It controls a lot more space, and the bishop has to trade with our knight. Otherwise, it's blocked. And once we can take with the rook. Look at the pawn structure. We have very good pawn structure. And black has isolated double pawns. Our pawns are connected with each other. They can protect each other. Thinking about a b4, c5, they're really, really solid. And our rooks can control the semi-open file, attack d7. I think from positional perspective, we are better. And if we open the engine, white is really better than the black. And also, I'm also thinking about some other moves. For example, d6. This move is interesting. The pawn is at dark square, and since black doesn't have dark square bishop, and the rooks are far away from the pawn, so black cannot take the pawn or remove the pawn very soon. And this pawn can, first of all, suppress the d7 pawn, and they control these two squares. For example, once we move the king to d file, probably we can move the rook to e7 with the help of the pawn. And if black doesn't play c5, we can push the pawn to c5. That's even worse for black, because the knight square bishop is really, really stuck. And also we can move the knight to c5 at some point. The knight can attack b7, attack d7, attack a6. The knight is really annoying to our opponent. And I think the best move for black is push c5, and this is the only way black can open up the diagonal. And we can play f3, first of all, to build a pawn chain towards the light square bishop. And looking at the c5 pawn, this is a dark square pawn. And as I said, black doesn't have dark square bishop, so we can attack the pawn with like a lot of ways to for example, if we have a knight at a4, rook at e5, we can attack the pawn. And also, as I said, we can move the rook to e file, to e7. So I can see a lot of opportunities without trading the pawn. And in this game, we took the pawn, and black took with the bishop, and we lost a center pawn. Black still have a center pawn, and also the bishop is free. So yeah, I don't think the pawn exchange favors us. So we move f3, yeah, building a pawn chain, yeah. b4, that's good. Kind of close the b file. Castle, knight d5, yeah, I think that's something we need to think about. So very clearly we have these two files. One is open file, our king is e2, the rook can attack us very easily. There is a semi-open file. So I think we need to control these two files, the rooks, as fast as possible. And I do think that's the reason we pushed the pawn to h3, right? So we need to like um, make our moves or plan consistent. I think the reason we move h3 is we want to set h1 rook free, right? Because the g2 pawn can protect h3, then we can move the rook. We don't need to worry about black taking our pawn. So that's the reason I think we play h3 at that moment. So now we should move our rook to control the open file. If we move rook to e1, the rook check us. It's no problem. We move king to f2, and the king can support our rook at the open file. That's really good. But in this case, we offer. I don't think that's a meaningful trait, to be honest. Once black take our knight, the rook can attack us, and we need to move the king to f2, and we lost control of e5. Just one step slower makes us passive, and the rooks, yeah, I mean, if rook to e5, I don't think we can protect the d5 pawn. I don't think there's a very good way to protect that. And black play a5, yeah, black want to resolve the double pawn 4, and also the rook attack our two pawns at the same time. So black become active after this trading, like knight d5 and also a5. So just a simple piece exchange make us from being a very active structure in the position to like passive position, more or less. And rook d3, yeah, rook e5, yeah. I don't think we have a way to, yeah, maybe push the pawn d6. Yeah, I think that's the only way we can make the pawn safe. So yeah, we move another rook to protect pawn. So you see, black have two rooks targeting our two pawns, and we have two rooks as defenders. So our rook are passive, more passive. Yeah. So black play g5. Yeah, I can see the purpose of this move. Just using one pawn to control these two squares. So we cannot really push our pawn, and maybe f5, f4. So black really want to make our pawns as low as possible. That is usually not a good thing in the end games. And we play g4. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I think we should play d6, because this is a move. At least we can release one of the rook. The d3 rook potentially still need to protect a3, but we can move the rook to c1 and maybe c7. We need to think about how to make the rooks active again. If black play d6, I don't think we have a chance to do that. Okay, black play rook b5. Maybe the rook wants to check our king, but I don't think that's needed. Okay, maybe black wants to checkmate at the second rank. Okay, yeah. Maybe we can stop that with the rook. And we don't have notation probably. Okay, we play king g3 and rook e2. Yeah, the rook goes to second rank. Okay, yeah, maybe king g3 want to push the pawn probably, but maybe we can move the rook to second rank first, because if the two rooks reach second rank, that's a problem. That's another problem for us. The rook can check our king and attack our pawns from behind. So yeah, I will move the rook to d2, and later like d6, yeah, or maybe push the d6 first. And also a3 is something we can consider, because we force black to make a choice. Do you want to check us? Do you want to move to a5 to attack our pawn? If the rook check us, we can play, yeah, we can play d2 at this time. It's still okay. And if the rook goes to like a5, we can move our rook upward a bit, and then like d6. Yeah, I think we can get a draw at this position. That's it.